Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Chet here from Avion Technology in the Chicagoland area. We are a agency that works with other digital agencies, and we also work with a lot of other small businesses. This week, I'm talking about CPAs and what are the must-have functionalities in a CPA's website. So there's a lot of them here, but I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. You will also find all of these in the description below, so you can take a look at it at your leisure. Who is this video for? It's for other agencies, it's for other CPAs. Make sure that your website has all of these because we are seeing a trend these days of more and more business now which is coming from online sources, right? CPAs, like lawyers, was one of those areas where usually most of the business development used to happen offline, through word of mouth, through old boy networks, that kind of stuff. But since the pandemic, and even before that, but especially after the pandemic, a lot of this revenue growth is now online. So you definitely need a really good digital presence to augment your business. So what are those functionalities, those must-haves that would make your business stand out, right? So you have within the CPA world, you have those bigger firms, right? The top consulting firms, Deloitte, McKinsey, all of those. I mean, those are really good. Then you have the mid-sized ones, the big players regionally. Then there's a lot of small firms and boutique firms, right? And they are the ones that actually need a digital presence the most. So this video is basically for them. So what do you need? You need a homepage, a very well-designed homepage, which clearly reflects you, your personality, your ethos, your values, a very clear nav, and very good CTAs, right? Now, why do you need this? Because CTAs, or calls to action, is how a user interacts with your site, right? If it says download brochure, if there's a contact us button, download brochure, call us, all these different buttons, calls to actions. So you need these placed very strategically on your homepage so that it prompts a user to take some action, right? So the first is a homepage with very clear nav and good calls to action. Number 2, about us. So like the legal services industry, the CPA world is a lot about the person's profile. Where did he go to college? When did he get his license? Which trade associations is he or she a part of? All of these things. Who are the other team members? What skill sets do they bring to the profile? Now, about us can be extremely boring and stale, or you can actually make it very interesting and bring some kind of a connection between you and the user. I have seen some amazing about us sections where they really brought out the personality of that person, and that creates user engagement. A quick tip or a quick note is that on a lot of those websites that I do the SEO for, about us is one of the first sections that a user will go and check out. So keep this in mind, that this is one of the most important sections of your website, so make sure you give it the importance that it deserves. Next, just like the about us page or services page. Now here, the taxonomy, the visual hierarchy is extremely important, because what happens is that folks usually like to show their services without arranging them, without consolidating them, and that actually confuses the user. The user doesn't know where to go. So instead, see if you can organize your services into different categories and then have some kind of a drill down or some kind of a navigation into those individual services. That will help the user not to get confused. But your services are extremely important, so make sure they're laid out well. Next, testimonials, social proof essentially. We all love testimonials, right? We all like to know what someone else is saying about a certain business. I read somewhere that 92% of people will actually trust a review when they read it. So that's the power that a review has. So make sure you showcase your testimonials very prominently. Next is contact info. I mean, this goes without saying, your contact info, your phone numbers, your email IDs, your location, your hours, all of this should be displayed very prominently, right? Next is resources. This is a very interesting area because resources is where a lot of services companies showcase their subject matter expertise. Because what happens is that folks are coming to a CPA firm, a tax advisory firm, an accounting firm, for subject matter expertise. So if you have white papers, if you have case studies, if you have success stories, that kind of stuff, or if you're writing a lot of blog articles, that showcases your subject matter expertise. So for services companies, this section is extremely important as a selling point for you to sell your services business, right? One of the trends again that I've noticed a lot since the pandemic and even before that was that potential clients do their due diligence before they're spoken to you. Maybe 20 years back that was not the case. People would speak with you and then go and do the due diligence. But I'm seeing more and more, because of all these different online tools available, folks will do their due diligence about you before they've actually come and spoken to you. So resources is an excellent way for you to kind of showcase that subject matter expertise, so that when they're doing their due diligence, they know, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. Next is client portal. And this actually goes hand in hand with the last, which is security, right? Client portal, absolutely necessary for an accounting CPA firm because of all the tax documents that need to get uploaded for tax season. So definitely have a client portal, but make sure it is secure. So there's SSL, there's some level of encryption, all these different cyber security best practices, 2FA, two-factor authentication. I'm sorry. So make sure all of these are there, because you definitely need a client portal, but make sure it has a lot of security with it. Next is an FAQ section. Again, no brainer. People have a lot of standard questions, and if you've been in practice for 10-20 years, you know what standard questions they have, so you can post them in your FAQ section. Accessibility. This is for all you designers and agency folks out there. You can develop the best website, but if it's not ADA compliant, if it's not responsive, it's of no use. Right? If it's not ADA compliant, 20% of the audience won't be able to check it out. If it's not responsive, 80% of the audience won't be able to check it out, right? A website that is not responsive is like a car sitting in a garage. It looks good, but it's of no use. So make sure that your website is responsive. Same goes for SEO. Your website is of no use if it's buried somewhere on the internet. So what you want to do is you want to get at least some level of on-page and off-page SEO. Now it would be really good if you have an online marketing strategy where you're also doing SMM and you're also doing a little bit of search engine marketing like AdWords, some email marketing, Google My Business, but at least Google My Business, right? So at least search engine optimization and Google My Business are two things that you should definitely do, so that your website gets some level of visibility out there. Next is a newsletter. I included this because there's one Chicago CPA firm that I know. They send out the best newsletters in the world. I think it's called Accounting Solutions, if I'm not mistaken. They send out the best newsletters in the world. Very informative, very thoughtful, and I'm actually hooked onto the newsletters. That's the only newsletter. Every time it hits my inbox, they send out newsletter every week. I make sure I read it. So newsletters is always hit and a miss. If it's boring, if you're selling yourself too blatantly, people will unsubscribe. So make sure it is informative, make sure it's engaging, and mostly make sure that you're consistent about it, because no one likes a newsletter which is inconsistent. If you're going to send it out once a month, make sure you send it out once a month. If it's once a quarter, once a quarter. I send out a newsletter to all my clients once a year. That's it. But at least I'm kind of consistent about that, right? Next is probably by far the most important functionality that you should have in your website, and that's an appointment booking and a virtual consult, right? Because I know coaches, lawyers, CPAs, financial planners, mortgage brokers, all of these people, the way they close a prospect is through a consult. So it's absolutely critical that someone can see your calendar, someone can come on your schedule and be able to book a consult. So this is definitely a functionality that you should have. So again, ladies and gentlemen, these list of functionality here, if there's anything which I've missed, definitely feel free to put it in the comment section. But based on my experience, these are the functionalities that a CPA website should have. Avion Technology here in the Chicagoland area. If you've liked this content, press like. If you want to subscribe, press subscribe. Here are my coordinates if you want to give me a shout. And it's Saturday today, so I hope all of you have a great weekend. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.